How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Good to be home.
Great, great. Okay, so today we have the session on the MVP for the space tech specifically, and today we have with us Terry. Okay, so a little bit introduction about Terry. He started his career as a property consultant in the same year when I was born. So after 20 years, he switched back to aerospace engineering and space tech to follow his passion. So today he will be guiding us on how we develop a minimum viable product, what is MVP and why it is necessary. So yeah, Terry, over to you. Share your journey and how you switch back to the space domain again.
Let's kick it off. First of all, I'll talk wide open. Anybody questions? Open mics. Please don't keep quiet. The only way to learn around our planet is to communicate and communicate freely and openly. The mantra that I was thinking about as I was getting ready this morning was, what can I bring to you, to make it easy for you to keep going, to, to not stop. Often we run up against barriers, and you'll hear people say that we run up against the naysayers, the people who don't believe in us. And that's going to happen. And that happens practically every day. If you have a really good MVP, most valuable product, then you'll get the attractors. They'll stick to you, like Velcro, also invented in space. And I'm fascinated to see that, my brothers and sisters over in your neck of the woods. Right, I have friends who live in Sri Lanka, and it's good to see education catching up. It's really important, and I'm happy to see it. Mokshith, how are you? Good to see you. Anyway, it's to stay focused, don't give up, and kind of that's the simplicity of it all. When I started Space for All, I was really keen to dig deep into electromagnetism and understanding its properties and its health benefits. And they're numerous. They're practically required. We evolved in a magnetic field, very low Tesla, low energy magnetic field. I had my own cage. I developed what I considered, a most viable product or most valuable product, and that was a pulsed electromagnetic field that, frankly, we have to have in space. And so I'd want that to be as a part of our spacecraft. So in your neck of the woods, when you make one, you'll need one. And when ISRO goes up to space with all the people, you're going to have some type of electromagnetic field with you. And we're not using it to develop a product that can go out and sell. I'm developing products that can go out and advance humanity. So that's what I think about. I don't think about the bottom line, because if I think about the bottom line, more hair might fall out. And believe me, it's very stressful when you start thinking about the money side of things. And any of you here may know that. I know Mokshith does. He and I talked the other day. So again, open mic, pop in questions, thoughts. I want this to be collaborative. I'm not here to tell you everything. I'm here to kind of share my experience. One thing, and it's kind of funny because it ties directly into my most recent mission up in the Arctic, in the high Arctic. So I was just below the North Pole. Anybody knows the North Pole, South Pole, just here. I had a friend who is also down in Antarctica at McMurdo. We had a Zoom call from the North Pole to the South Pole, and it was it was fascinating to think that our technology and electromagnetism were the number one reasons why we were having that conversation. But up there, it's harsh, it's real, it's a great place to test some of your MVP. You can think about, and I'm thinking out loud, think about radiation protection. I brought a radio code, Radia code, RADICODE. You can look it up. It's an inexpensive radiation detector. You can pick it up, and you've got probably one of the more powerful radiation detectors that mankind and humanity have ever contributed to. And now you can carry it in your pocket. So I was getting gamma radiation numbers up there, gamma and some alpha, of course, everywhere. And I have to say, it made me think another opportunity, right? We probably need some type of protection from higher radiation exposure. Let's say the magnetic fields flip, right? We get a north-south flip, or it kind of wobbles, right? And then all of a sudden, that wobbling opens up the gap, right? And now you've got more gamma coming in, more cosmic radiation. There's things that you can only think about though when you get out, and you've got to get out of our shell sometimes and open our eyes to the world. It's amazing to me how far we've come. I'm 61 this year, and we're flying along. Humanity is doing just fine. Got a few problems. Everybody knows about those right now, but we're lucky. We're seeing it, and you guys are very lucky. You've seen it even more rapidly in your neck of the woods. Yeah, there you are. That's kind of a quick little opening, I thought, and then we could talk amongst ourselves about what do we think? What's maybe somebody has an MVP. Mokshith, you want to talk about yours? Come on, Mike. Do not. Yeah, man, bring it.
Yeah, hi. I don't really have an MVP, but I have a question for you, which would be really great if you can answer. So, I just wanted to know, like, how far do we need to, as in stages of development, how far should my MVP be developed so that I can, let's say, approach the investors or people who invest in my. So, is it just that I should be very thorough and ready with my theoretical part, or do I also need to have a business plan or something with it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I'll go through my experience just to answer it quickly. I came up with what I considered to be a very good product, and it's turned out to be good. I'm still in kind of stealth mode, probably for a couple of reasons. One is, it takes a lot of money to build these products. So yeah, business plan is brilliant. You got to have that just for operations, right? Next thing you really have to have is that MVP. And for me, I found it. I had one. I was like, boom, let's go. I went right to an individual who's a great mind and also nice wallet. And we came to an agreement, and I gave up some of the company. I gave it up maybe probably too much, but in retrospect, that small investment was key, critical, got me through that first, really the second year of development. Now I'm in year 5. To your point, to your question, TRL, technology ready level, right? You need to be experimental, right? You've got to have results. In my case, I needed to be able to prove that I could manipulate ion transfer across a membrane or across a medium or across a fluid, if you want to call it. And once I proved that with my device, and I'm okay, now I've got my next little piece of information that an investor or investors might want to make a bigger jump. That first investment, that was key. There's a note. It's called Safe Note. Some of you may have heard of it. It's common here in the United States. Safe Notes will give you an opportunity to bring an investor on, an investor who says, listen, this is a note at the moment. It's non-callable, but if it does get called, it gets called for stock and stock in the company. And I think safe notes are a really critical instrument for the early startups like ours. And I'm glad I did it. I'm to this day, it got me through that second and third year, and now I'm I'm almost in year 5, and I have the price right here next to me. I can show you, but I can't. Well, I can show you one little piece of it that's off the shelf. So it partly off the shelf, commercial off the shelf. This is this detects transfer of ion across a battery, and so you take the battery, hook it up, and you can kind of see how ions move across battery cake. Or cake is lithium, iron, whatever they put in your cake to make your battery work. And then we were just determining whether or not we could manipulate the ion transfer, and we can. And so, the part that fascinated me was the minute I knew that, the minute I went out to market to ask for money. Make sure your pitch deck is really small. It's 5-6 pages. Mokshith, good to see you. 5-6 pages on your pitch deck. You don't need a lot. Most important part of that are the people. And plus you want to see the MVP, and you probably want to get a good look at what your tangible market might be. Tangible, I'm not asking for anything more than that from the investor side. Sorry, my God, I needed a hot coffee this morning. Yeah, so once I got through those first 3 years, I got an MVP. Then I went out and started touring. I actually went to a bunch of conferences, brought the device with me. People thought I was a bit crazy to travel around the planet with this thing, but it helped. It told my story. So I think that that's the other thing. We're storytellers. Be sure you practice your story over and over and over to anybody that'll listen. And if they won't listen, then try to do something to make them listen, right? Make them excited about it. Yeah, there's a lot of early stage stuff that we could talk about. I don't know if anybody has any questions yet in the chat, but I'm happy to. Here, I pulled it up. Oh, it's just all how was your mission to the Arctic? Yeah, it was good. Cold. Oh, we had two teammates from Chennai who came. Some of you may know Inya Pragati, but Inya showed up, and she was one of the mission participants at 13 years old. She came with her father, so that was the only way I was going to let that happen. Her father's Praveen, and yeah, it was pretty impressive. People can adapt, right? And you get up into the Arctic, you have to learn to adapt. And the lesson that I think I learned about startup life is you have to learn to adapt, and your environment is constantly changing. So to the question that Dinant had, TRL3, meaning it's tangible, you can touch it, feel it, let people look at it. 4, 5, 6, you've tested, you've got results, tangible results that you can show on pretty charts and pretty graphs. Please make your charts and graphs pretty. I know it sounds silly, but too much detail sometimes is convoluted. So nice, pretty, simple charts. The other thing that Dinant kind of made me think about is go to your space agency, go to ISRO. If you have somebody at NASA, go to NASA. My contract was up. What's today? Yesterday was my last day of my contract. So I'm no longer a NASA subcontractor. Anyway, that happens. It's part of the deal, right? Your contract runs out and they weren't going to renew. It's because it was grant driven. Anytime they're grant driven, that's usually deadline out. Yeah, there you are. Loads of people done. Yeah, bring it on. Open
Yeah,
mic.
so I had another question, like just a very quick question.
Mm.
So does, let's say you have a product, does the nature of product really helps you secure faster for things? Let's say in terms of I have a product which solves a really throbbing problem. And on the other side, if I have a product which, let's say, helps industry in general to develop. So will it be that investors might be more prone to invest in the product I have, which is solving a throbbing problem, so that they might get results faster?
Well, yeah, if you can show them the problem, right? If you can and prove that it's costly. Here's it's one of the things that I'm working on. I've just finished my manuscript for my presentation at IAC in Sydney, and kind of what you're saying, right? This is a really big problem. Microplastics, huge problem. Nanoplastics, and multiples of magnitude higher problem, worse problem. I think it's to the point now where if we don't think about how we can solve this nanoplastic crisis, these are sub-1,000 nanometer. In fact, the worst of the worst are what are most prevalent, which is around 40 nanometer. They're getting into everything, all living creatures, all living cells. We got to stop, whatever that is. So my paper is to the Arctic Council. The Arctic Council then will present, hopefully, if they like the paper, they'll present it to the UN. And my speech in October will be perfectly timed for UN SDG Council, Sustainable Development Goals. So yeah, big problems. People will jump in. They'll try to fix it. I'm here to highlight the problem. Maybe other people can figure that out. There's collectively in this room, there are collective minds that can solve this problem. And, we just got to have people focus on it and see profit potential as well. What did Warren Buffett say? If you want to solve a really big crisis, make it profitable to solve it. And then you'll have your answers pretty quickly, actually. And I don't know if you noticed that. It's the way it is, right? In any extreme and stressful environment, people work diligently to solve these crises. Anyway, there, I got that off of my mind. Thank you, Denai. That's another good question. Yeah, how about funding? Let's talk about government funding. So it helps to go out and make the rounds, go out and speak at conferences, write your papers, get your papers accepted, speak about your projects. It certainly helped me. A quick story. AIAA, join if you're not, join your AIAA club there, and you won't be disappointed. It's not terribly expensive. I'm not sure what it is in rupee, but I think it was $35 for me as a student. Now I'm not a student anymore, so I pay more. Well, I am a student, but PhD student. Anyway, so the story is, I'm at a conference. I'm presenting my work, and I go back to the table. I did lease a table for $500. I leased a table and brought my equipment with me. And the National Reconnaissance Office came over, NRO. They're like, "Hey, we've been watching you. We've been following you, and your project and how it's going. Can you present your work to us?" I was like, "Absolutely. When I'm at TRL 6, you got it." And they were, "Hey, we don't need to be TRL 6. We can be TRL 2 or 3, and you can just let us help you run with it." And they're, "Oh," so you get all kinds of really interesting. Yeah, how to convert our idea into TV and tracks anyone. Yeah, you want. I really do think if it's tangible, people can see it and touch it and see the results as they're kind of in real time. That was the other thing. I set up kind of a visible computer screen monitor that showed real-time monitoring of the electromagnetic field and how it was manipulating it. And the things that manipulated it too, what perturbed it, right? Think about perturbed, right, in physics. That some perturbations are good, and then that means there's profit. Yeah, great comment. Mm. Oh my God, that coffee is so hot. It helps my voice. I've been been up in the Arctic, right, for 5 weeks, and it's so cold and so windy, and then so not cold, but still cold, and then really cold, and then windy. And you're like, after a while, your hair is all tousled. You wear caps all the time. Anyway,
Yeah,
um,
Terry, I have a question.
yeah,
Like most of the people who have joined here are students. Okay. So
yeah, excellent.
as a student, how they create a MVP, like because they don't have any funding, investor will not entertain them, VCs are even not going to see their faces. So how they are going to create a tangible product or a roadmap to the tangible product? What should be our
Yeah,
approach?
yeah, great question. Well, let's think about it. Frankly, unless you're Albert Einstein or work on your own all the time and have been successful at that, you'll need a team. Um, Make a team, right? Create a interested group of parties. So I joined the ham operator club at my university, and then I joined the rocketry club, and then I joined the physics club, and then I got invited to the American Physics Society, and then I got selected to um, God, where else? Jesus, you name it. AIAA came in and offered me assist learner stuff. You just surround yourself with people who are like-minded, who can still see the opposite, right? And you've got to have good vision on MVP. You can't, for me, I need the antithesis of my thought, right? Someone that says, I don't see it. And then, we have to talk about it. So yeah, rocketry was a good one for me. Rocket Club, that was a big deal, and that was years ago. Build a satellite. I'm not kidding. Go and build a satellite right now. You can buy satellite kits for, honestly, they're not expensive. Cole Lutz, a friend of mine, is set up a deal that I helped him finance, and he's working on trying to teach people how to build satellites. That talk about learning systems engineering kind of on the fly too. That's I don't. It's hard to replace, and you can't. It's difficult to do with books, right? And yeah, sometimes it just surround yourself with good, smart people, right? Collaborative. Go to your space agencies. Go to your engineering companies, right? Hopefully, you've got somebody that's gotten an internship and they're inside, and then you can kind of collaborate with them with their knowledge. Building those knowledge gaps, building bridges. Oh, that's a good one. And my partner, she says this all the time. And one of the things that I know I'm really good at is building bridges, making connections, and connections that last, right? They're not frivolous, and I'm not trying to profit on those connections. I want them to be friends, colleagues, people I work with. So yeah, that's it's a good thought, actually. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
And like when we're talking about team, okay, so is experience the most important factor, or like a newbie or a fresher can come in?
Yeah, experience helps, but I think it's focus of purpose. Right? You don't have to be. It's important to read the room. Um, some of you may have heard that, right? You walk into a room and feel the energy, right? If they want to hear and they want to know, and be that person that's offering advice, or be that person that listens. Sometimes it just all we want is a pair of ears to hear what we're thinking. Um, yeah. That's read the room. Kind of the best advice I can give you. Yeah, you don't come in like a bull in a china shop. That's what they say back home in Texas. And that's a really good one, right? A bull in a china shop can do a lot of damage, and then walk out on the street like it's nothing. You're like, hey, you just tore my whole shop up. Anyway, I laugh because I've seen it happen in Kathmandu. Anyway, it wasn't inside the shop; it was outside, but still pretty funny. I mean, I felt terrible for the shop owner, but anyway, yeah, yeah, it's on experience is a gut feel sometimes, but a sense of purpose, right, and direction. One of the things I noticed in Inya, right, at 13 years old, is her sense of purpose, and she's a published author already. You know, that's someone who's got focus and energy, right, at that young age. You better have energy. Anyway, yeah, in your 20s, I do remember, and maybe all of you probably feel this sometimes, that the old man in the room sometimes wasn't always the best advice. I'm not being, mean. I'm not being rude. I'm just like, sometimes those old school point of views, they're no good. And that's the other thing. I came from an industry where we built buildings, right? And I was project manager on all these buildings, high rise, office, you name it, houses, subdivisions, development, streets, you name it, all of it, utilities, done it all. And you learn to work with everyone on your team. Everybody has a purpose, right? Civil engineer, mechanical engineer, in the aviation world, it's the flight ops. And that was the beauty of that change, right? Moving from commercial real estate and then moving into the aerospace world. Wow, that was shocking. The reality is, right, in aerospace and engineering, in space, it's everyone's life is really on your shoulders, right? So you're creating product, whatever product that might be, whatever MVP you make. If it's a life-saving or life protection equipment, yeah, I don't know. There's not much more important than that, right? A human. And you're like, but that can't even replace the human, right? Think about all the number of Einsteins who passed away recently, right? Wars, and things like that. Silly, silly to think about. Mm. I love how you guys are asking deep questions. What else is going on? Anybody anything cool to talk about? Any cool space equipment?
Hi, Terry.
Prakar, how are you, my friend?
I'm fine, Terry. Thank you.
Of course.
Terry, how was your journey of developing the space payload, and what was the biggest challenge and the personal challenge you faced, and what kept you motivated through the process?
Oh, my colleagues, right? The people I was close with working on the project. Space is a challenging environment, and all of the systems and the subsystems have to be tested and retested. You've got to rebuild your wiring harnesses. Then you've got to drill more holes in your titanium, which is also anybody's done that. That's always quite the challenge. Um, on builds, yeah, for me it was systems ops, and then engineering, and then subsystems, and those were the hardest parts of all of that. The shake test, forget it. Everything fails, practically everything. The first shake test. Um, some things don't, right? Small sats seem to do okay in those early shake tests because we're right there, we're right into the middle of it. I used to have an old satellite in here in I'm in my wife's office. Sorry. Um, yeah, this those are the scary part too, right? Because you're working with equipment that can be dangerous, that you have to be very careful, cautious. Slow is the only way to go. Deep breaths. I'm always very cautious about everything that I make and build. No rush, nothing. Yeah, even if I feel rushed, I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, definitely get that done, and then I go my pace. Yeah, that's the one thing I definitely have learned over these decades is know your pace, know what that is. If you can work quickly and productively and safely, then rock and roll, man. There are very few of you on the planet can do that. Yeah, good question.
Thanks, Terry.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And also when you pop in, just tell me where you're at because I know a few people on the planet. You never know. Always a There's always a connection to be made somewhere in there. Oh, there goes my cat. Denied. Physics. Give me some more
I,
physics stuff. I love physics questions.
I just had a small, it may seem a bit of personal question, but like earlier you mentioned in a startup journey, it's really important that you just start adapting more. So like, and what constitutes of it is like you unlearn what you already learned and then relearn the things the other or new way. So how's that process for you?
Yeah, we people lose motivation easily because they don't see results. So I've lost a few interns over the years who haven't stuck around, but most of my colleagues and previous partners, subcontractors, they all are around. They all see that I'm driven and with a purpose. That it's hard to build that into a most valuable product, right? And that's why that's one of the most important pages in your pitch deck is going to be who your people are and who you are. And it doesn't have to be a diatribe. My LinkedIn it aggravates me. I like that I say I'm a human and that's it. I should just keep it at that. And with all these decades behind me, um, yeah, keep the human in mind, keep the purpose in mind, right? We're building product, right? Aerospace products, particularly, that can save the planet or help us get to another planet, and prevent us from doing what we did to this planet to the other one. Let's think about how we can be planetary protectionists, right? Space advocates for keeping space clean. Space debris is real, and it's getting more real every day, unfortunately. Talk about a little aggravating. Morabajah and I have been working on this for a couple of years, is how we can democratize space debris information so that it's not charged. So like you want a really good space debris information right now, you got to pay for it. And we're like, that's crazy. It should be free. We need to know where everything is, who owns it, its purpose. If we don't know all of that, how are we going to protect ourselves, right? Yeah, these are all great, thought-provoking questions. Thank you. The physics of it did not. It doesn't. It's going to come back down unless you keep it up in space with some thrusters. Yeah, I'd love
But
to be able
we
to
do have
do
two
that.
questions in the chat as well.
Yeah. Oh, let's see what you got here. How to convert our identities that attracts anyone to listen to it and invest in it. Well, I mean, the whole purpose of today's class, right, in this chat, because I do feel like it's a bit of a chat, is being purpose driven, right? And when I woke up this morning, what was it that we were going to chat about without slides? Sometimes some slides drive me nuts. So it's nice to not have slides. Yeah, purpose driven, right? If you can see the vision and you can see it clearly, then other people can see it. And those are the people who you want to be colleagues, contractors, subcontractors, friends, family, investors. Those are the people. Speaking a lot to a lot of people really helps narrow that down. It's not about just knowing the right person. Now, Mokshith, he was here. I don't know if he's still around, but he's got a really cool product. He asked me a couple of simple questions, and I was like, dude, do this, do that. And boom, right? He's got something that is, frankly, it's pretty impressive. I hope he gets funding for it. I wish I had unlimited funds and it would no problem. I wish I was Elon Musk. Well, you know, somebody like that with a lot of cash. That would be nice. How do you, oh, that's a great question. You'll know, people stop listening and sometimes they'll yawn and you're like, oh, I've done something, I've done something terrible. Sometimes when I speak, though, people yawn anyway because I speak quietly. And yeah, but definitely that was kind of one of the things that I could tell people, and they look away, right? They don't make eye contact, and you'll feel that. It's pretty quick too if you really know those triggers. The no eye contact, not paying attention to your presentation. You know, and there's always a crowd of like I've done some big presentations. Oh my God, I did one on nanoplastics in 23. I knew I struck a chord when people were basically crying and openly weeping. And I was like, okay, now, I didn't want to do that, but I needed to do that. I needed people to see and hear how damaging these little bitty tiny plastics are. And since then, it's just taken on a life of its own. If you have a solution, please come up with solutions to nanoplastics, right? Microplastics cut right through us, except for the chemicals. Nanoplastics stay in your blood, stay in your cells, and they do mitochondria disruption. Um, you don't want that. Let's see. What are your thoughts on current steps towards space sustainability? Well, I mentioned it briefly there. Democratize the information, democratize and open source everything. You want to get people to space safely, then share your data, share your information. Stop keeping secrets. You know, we all want to do the same thing. We all want to make the place safer for our families, our friends. We want our planet to survive. And now our planet has a end date, right? Sell by. Sell by maybe, I don't think it's 4 billion years. I think it's, who knows? I think it's less than a billion. I think it's less than 500 million too, unfortunately. Um, so yeah, but collectively, people like us will make a difference. And I think finding ourselves in extreme environments, how do we survive in those, right? We're going to have to adapt. We know we're all going to have to adapt as this climate changes and it evolves. And oh my God, those of us who, love a nice halibut or a nice fish of some kind, right? No, we're not going to be able to have those if we keep on at this pace. We're going to kill our oceans at this pace. As you mentioned, encountering challenges during the testing of substance or payload one. Oh, Jesus. You know what? AIAA, I have, and it's democratized and it's open source. Arjit, if you'll connect all of us, I will send you what I have, which is a payload map. And it's A to Z, and it covers everything. And it tells you everything you need to worry about and think about and plan for. And then it also ran it. It runs it in not NASA dollars, but it runs it in. I think it might have been NASA dollars, but it was like 10 years ago, and the numbers are shocking, right? When you think about how much we can live on, which is not very much, right? Overconsumption is a thing, and I'm partially guilty because I have 4 children. But yeah, anyway, keep people alive. That's the goal. Keep the place safe. Yeah, that's a good one, Rada. I'll get that. I'll find that. Arjit, I'll send that to you.
Yeah,
Um,
sure, sure.
yeah.
Just one
Well,
follow-up question on what Meenakshi asked on the space sustainability. as you are seeing that globally we are going from the exploration to the commercialization of the space sector. Everyone is involving, like microgravity research platforms are coming. So there
Mm.
will be a lot of debris, lot of content will be dumped into the space environment. So what are your thoughts? Like it is a right way, or what should be the right way to stop those things? Because the commercialization is real, it is sitting in front of us. In next 10 years, we will be seeing a lot of launches.
Yeah. Well, space debris scares the hell out of me. Um, quick story, give you just an idea. Um, Ukrainians um, froze an entire Russian brigade, left them in their tracks, unable to move because they jammed. Ukrainians jammed the GPS signals and the GNSS signals for the Russians. So yeah, there you go. Right. Then we can't have any war. What? It'd be nice not to have that. Take all that money. Let's get to space. Across the spectrum, we're all going to have to collaborate openly, honestly, with one purpose, and that purpose is keep our planet healthy, sustainable, keep our family and our friends and our children and our next generation and the generation after that, keep them healthy, because we need all hands. If you don't have hands, then all bodies and on deck. And that means, we've got work to do, and it's a lot of work. And we can't be segregationists for information. Like that's just, it's democratizing, open sourcing everything will solve almost all of humanity's crisis, maybe. And there's some people we can't control, unfortunately. Well, we can, but it's unfortunate. There is a rule here and there you can't break. And anyway, yeah, that's a good thought. Think about all of us, right? I don't want to hurt anybody. It's not my goal. I don't want to create anything that hurts anybody. So sustainability should be built into every project, and it is now for the most part. Well, certainly here and the EU. We've got to get the Chinese involved. They've got to agree. And who cares if they're technologically advanced right now? Who cares? Let's just get there together. Let's Rodney King and can't we all just get along? It's not, that ain't rocket science. Right? Society is funky, isn't it? It's just been so crazy the past couple of decades. I wonder out loud, honestly, seriously. This came around 2 decades ago. We didn't have the madness that we had for about 40 or 50 years. And then all of a sudden the madness broke. And, I don't know if it was people in communication and satellites and nuclear tip technology, and, things that can take out entire populations. I don't know where it all started, but we had a rocket, right? And it went to the moon. That was cool. I want to go back. I want to go. I want them to take me. I'm going to stay as fit as I can because I want to go. Yeah, Parsha, bring it.
During your any research, what kinds of different things that you saw that any other because everyone has its own perspective during any type of work. So anything you should different things you saw.
Yeah. What I noticed is probably what other people would not have noticed because I didn't have everything behind me telling me and focus me on one thing, right? I had more of a broader perspective. And coming in from that really wide angle view, narrowing it down to electromagnetism, I kind of started realizing, hey, James Clerk Maxwell and Niels Bohr and some of those folks and Nikola Tesla, you know, they kind of stopped thinking about magnetism, electromagnetism. Tesla died. he probably would have finished the job. I tell you what, that's the thing. Coming in from a perspective where you're wide-eyed, taking a look at all the angles, that is hard to get. That perspective is really difficult to get, and you want to, honestly, you want to force feed it to yourself if you can. And some of the good stuff will stay. Some of the stuff you don't like will fall out. Sometimes I'm joking when I say this, but I've learned so much. I know that I have forgotten more than I've learned. Now, repetition is the mother of all good. So seeing and repeating, rereading, listening while you reread, those things, if you want to commit them to memory and they're important to you, you know, that'll help you get that experience to have a wider perspective and be able to narrow down that perspective. Maybe even see something that no one else has seen. That happens every day, literally every day. You see people every day coming up with fantastic, brilliant ideas. And, you know, idea people are hard to find. Product design people, they're hard to find. You know, they have that kind of, that massive perspective. Travel, right? Get out of your own house. Find grant money to go to conferences. You know, be the top of your class if you need grant money. Be the top of your class. Be a student who excels at everything they do. Now, AI has made our job easier. Let's be honest. It's been a little harder for me as a professor, but I'm not complaining. I just wish AI was used wizenly rather than flippantly. And we can't just trust AI for everything yet, although we're close. And I think we're closer than we think as well. What is it? Zuckerberg's paying. Did you see what they paid the OpenAI? They get $1 billion signing bonus. $1 billion. What? First of all, take 2 million and spread the rest around, right? How much do you need? Anyway. Yeah, that was a little aggravating. Terry Reinor, mechanical engineer, graduate student, looking around the packed on the CubeSats prototype. I experienced building station. I just couldn't get a subset. Yeah, get good luck. Yeah, you got to have an MVP, right? And that is, what does your satellite do? What's the sensoring on it? What are your batteries? What's your plan for you know, deorbiting? You know, making sure you have magnetorders or whatever you need, magnetorsers or whatever you need to keep it stable, keep it from spinning. Yeah, you got a lot of work ahead of you. All of that has to be spelled out in a really short pitch deck. That's the hard part, right? You have so much you'd love to say about your satellite and your bird, but yeah, it's really useless messaging if it's too much. It's simplicity. My hyperspectral imaging paper that I'm getting ready to submit, I thought I could use hyperspectral imaging in NIR to get a really good look at nanoplastics. I was wrong. You can't. It's very difficult to see them, but you can see the net effects of them. You can chase algae. You can see algae start to turn red, and when red algae starts and it blooms, domoic acid. No fish are good. Happened in Sri Lanka a couple of years ago. You know, you guys had the red algae, and then the domoic acid came out, and then everything, practically all the fish die. You know, so yeah, and there's your food chain disruption, right? That I'm worried about with nanoplastics. So I thought, well, now let's go to where, you know, your gray water, your effluent, come out, and let's get an image of those plumes. And where do those plumes segregate? And once they segregate, now all of a sudden, are we seeing red algae grow? Now domoic acid now kills all of our fish? Oddly, yes. So, you know, follow the trail, right? It's like Hansel and Gretel. You've followed this trail. Now you've hopefully go back, pick up your crumbs, start again if you need to. Maybe take a tangent if you're not getting connectivity. Someone doesn't listen to you. They don't think your bird is a good bird. Do something different. I have a friend who did banruption. Great idea. concert from space. So it's not the person in space doing the concert. It's a live concert broadcast up into space, and then everybody on the planet can get it with the satellites. I was like, oh, such a good idea. And you can do it now, but can you do it for free? And you could have been, right, with his idea. Yeah, it's rover. Scott, I just did their rover challenge with the Lunar rover challenge. That was incredible. Highly recommend getting into a challenge, rover challenge particularly. Oh, the mad thing about that, the Lunar rover challenge that was on, was the open source coding. You can go get anything in Python. We were grabbing Python packages, all over the place, and then putting them in and using that to build kind of a nav guide for the rover, so it could see and touch its terrain, feel its terrain as it moves in real time. Oh my God, I think we were up to like 3 million data points per second or something like that. You need a lot of compute at that point, a lot of computer power, or simplified code and a lot of computer power. And that's the other part, right? So somebody needs to figure our energy crisis out, please. Somebody. If you're an electrical engineer, get out there, get free energy somewhere, please. The planet needs it. Yeah, there's plenty of things to worry about there, right? Energy. That's really and if we could fix that energy crisis right now, I don't know, we'd be set for life. Do you think the fusion? Yeah, maybe. I don't know, that tokamak in the UK seems like they're getting close. The Chinese are getting close to. Livermore Labs did another long test a couple weeks ago. They got to 53 seconds or something like that. Anyway, we need more material scientists. Let's go, step up. Yeah, material science. It's the only way. Altermagnetism. Look that one up. Yeah, that's a good one. Altermagnetism. There are certain materials that show magnetic property with respect to quantum level dynamics. You're looking at perturbations in fields, and you start thinking about how that little perturbation can be something you profit on, right? And these are materials that are out there now that have been created. And altermagnetism, look it up. There are two materials that you'll get a chance to, I think, in space are going to be spectacular without the magnetic field, but still the properties of magnetism. So you get, I don't know what that's taking us to, but it's taking us to really small stuff, really tiny, quantum level knowledge. Yeah, that quantum stuff. Whoa. I cut my teeth early in quantum QED. Richard Feynman fascinates the hell out of me. Told a great story too, by the way. He would have been a big money raiser, I bet. Anyway. Yeah, it's a funky world, but we could use SLAM, right? What's that acronym world? Anybody know SLAM? Service, language, alter methods.
I think she's talking about the simultaneous localization mapping in the
Oh,
context.
yeah. Yes. Yeah, awesome. See, yeah, know the slang too, right? Know the lingo, know the jargon, be able to, use your vernacular wisely without curse words. I'm just saying that because I hear people speak like that. I'm like, no, you don't have to curse to tell me how brilliant your idea is. Yeah, that's just a personal opinion. Yeah, slam. I have to remember that. That's a good one. I literally, and I'm only at this now. So I turned my license in on May of 23. May of 23. So I was no longer selling property or houses or anything like that. May of 23. Now I had already been working in the field, just wasn't getting paid, and still not getting paid except for my professor money, which is nice. If you're a student, I thank you for your commitment to your education, and your parents or your family, whoever. Yeah, that's a good one. Great conversations. Anybody else? Any other kind of pressing issues, thoughts, concerns, positive or negative? Oh my God, that's good. Amelia, you're very welcome. Come in anytime. Thanks, Arjit, for pulling all this off. No, oh, here's a good one. Is it possible to destroy space array? I don't think so, not yet. Yeah, we'd have to change its angular momentum. Best way we can do that is to point it at Earth and hopefully it burns up. Yeah, Pradeep, I agree. I love an open chat. Good questions too. What about, hang on, what about atmospheric disturbances or noisy? Oh, yeah. You know, I worry about people relying on laser technology down to Earth, right? We're not quite there yet, transferring data across at high volume across a spectrum of light through Earth's atmosphere, right? And we're getting there. We're close. And that will help ground stations. Oh my God, if you really want to make a difference in the space world, build your own ground stations. Build them in, ideal locations, remote locations across the planet. Once you find free power, then you can have ground stations anywhere. But until then, I'd love to have a ground station up in the Arctic. I'd love to have one at our research station. That would be great. Yeah, in case anyone wishes to contact me, email simply. LinkedIn's perfect. That's how I've met everybody from Hex-Star and RG and all the team. Yeah, LinkedIn's really solid. Now it's expensive. I hope it's not too expensive for you guys, but it is for us. They charge us like $500 a year, I think, which is a crazy number. The free one's nice. I met this guy. He's learned how to manipulate the free side of it, and he's gotten up to like almost 14,000 followers, I think. That's a lot. So he takes a story, puts a story. You guys want to talk about how you can build a network, right? This is a great way to do it. LinkedIn's ideal. The best I've seen so far. Set your profile. You get a free profile. It's part of the deal, right? You get free use. You don't get the comms side of it. I don't think you messaging and stuff like that. But yeah, Amelia, definitely. Let's talk in a second, and I'll go through that. But think about how, for me, in an all candor, I worry that we lose comms, we lose the ability to keep in touch, and maybe we all need one source, and so LinkedIn does it. And so your profile, make your comment, maybe share a story, make a comment on it, but don't make a comment on it, but do it as part of the share, right? So you write a story, and then he goes in and he puts the source of the story in his comment section. That's it. That's all he did. It was really interesting. If you're into astrophysics, he's a really cool astrophysics guy. I forget his name, but it works so good. I forgot his name. But yeah, analog missions. Yeah, bunch of choices. MDRS is looking for really good teams. So build your team. It has to be solid science. They won't take you on a team without it. It's got to be solid science. And same for the Arctic. Everybody that came up there either agreed to work on my project or participate in others' projects. Some of them were human factor studies. Yeah, that's a good way to kind of get into the industry and get to know a lot of the right people. Like there's a bunch of funky people in the world too, in the industry, in the analog industry. Just deep breath when you meet them, say thanks so much, brilliant to chat, and then move on quickly. Yeah, you'll know when you meet them too. It's kind of that funky little feeling in your belly. You're like, well, I feel funky when I talk to that person. Anyway, so yeah, analogs, brilliant, because you can bring your science with you. Test before you invest. It's a great spot for anybody that might be doing an MVP, or if it's an extreme environment MVP, if it's wearables, or if it's some type of a technology that you're going to put in a spacesuit to test biometrics. That's a huge one if you're into biometrics. Censoring, the sensor technology in satellites, are continuing to be refined. Battery powers, battery packs. Think about all of those little things. Yeah, ISE. No, I don't think so. I think they record them. I think the one I'm doing on the nanoplastics is the 15-minute one, which is a long presentation for ISE. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. That's on the second, nanoplastics, and then the other two, the algae ones, are on the third. They're short. They're 7 minutes. They're funny. Stealth tech. Oh, be careful. Yeah, be very careful. I guess a good piece of advice would be, if you know you really have a solid MVP, try not to tell everyone early. So be very quiet about it. And then when you're confident enough that you won't get knocked off by someone else, then, either that or just agree to save the planet. I don't know. I don't know. I live in San Francisco and we have our house, right? And our kids go to college and high school. So, it's different here. In Ireland, it's different there, right? I'm an Irish citizen as well. Crazy to think that you can see the differences so drastically in just a few thousand miles. NISAR, is that, what is that? A space agency somewhere else? Is that y'all? Oh, that's your private, right?
It's a joint mission of NASA and ISI.
Oh, I think it's
Trevino,
brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have to collaborate openly, like share all knowledge. No, don't hold back. Share everything. It's not a space race. It's a race to save humanity. I'll go with that. Yeah, first one there, I want to be the first. I want to be the first. I tell you what, some of the things we're doing are going to make a difference. And you look at my webpage, Space for All, .space, space for number 4, all. Yeah, my advisors are rock stars in everything that they represent. And these are people who are going to benefit from our research. And our research is getting deep. I'm running out of time in the day for the research that I have to accomplish. Thank God for AI, honestly. Yeah, that helped a lot in some respects. Everybody knows how tedious it is to write a manuscript, right? It's a formula, right? It's been written for decades. We've known how to write our manuscripts. Taking that and putting it into an AI and training your AI through, whatever you want. If you want a deep neural network it, do a DNN on it, and really get to thinking about how to make your manuscript rock. That also turns into a really nice MVP, right? Or it turns into a pitch deck, a really solid, I'd like to think of it like that. You're building a future with these pitch decks, but you can't give too much information early on. Yeah, yeah, you want to be cautious about. I was stealth for a while, but I started at that point I was like, who cares? And we just went public everywhere. We started presenting all the work in 21 and pretty much come to some really good solid conclusions on EM field theory. Yeah. Physics, right? Physics is a puzzle meant to be solved always, right? Always build your physics models to understand the physics of the environment you're building for. Oh my God, I teach this orbital mechanics course. It's a funny story. Smart kids, right? You got to be smart if you're in orbital mechanics. It's really difficult. That's a difficult math. And I noticed it was so difficult that I was constantly having to help. And I noticed why. And the number one reason is that people didn't have a visual idea of how things move and the orbits and the orbital paths. They just didn't have the visual acuity for it. So, man, first day of class every semester now, we go right to the model. And here's a model, a working model of, and you can get it online. Anybody can. Go look for orbit analysis model. It's 3D. It's beautiful. You can, yeah, it's just spectacular. Understand your environment, right? So people were saying, well, you know, how fast does satellite move when it moves out into apogee and then into perigee? And you're like, oh, yeah, you just gotta teach. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I wish we had room for as many humans as possible. You could open your own office over there and we could collaborate. There you go. Step out. You know, if your MVP is you and your brain, then get to work. It's possible to join. Oh, wait, I just did that one. Should ready open source. Yeah, you know, I don't know. I'm having a hard time saying we should be secretive all the time, but we got to pay the bills, right? So maybe you know, kind of like do what OpenAI did, right? They have a .org side of things, and then they've got their profit side. Those blended companies, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, that's a yeah, you know, that's your call, right? It's going to be how do you feed your family? If it's super and save the planet stuff, I don't know, maybe build a partnership with a government agency if you find that they're you know, a good source. I think I'd rather be at the forefront of making humanity safe for all, and I'd like to be a part of that team. If we're going to be on teams, right? Yeah, there may not be a lot of money in it. Unfortunately, I'm discovering that about academia as well. Unfortunately. Detective, how can we effectively detect, track, quantify nanoplastics in real time? Well, that's what I was in real time. I don't know. I can get you near real time, NRT 90 minutes or less. We already have those capabilities. We just need to have money to pay the satellite operators to focus their cameras where we want them focused. Or they're broad spectrum and you can get an open source contract with like Planet Labs here in San Francisco, like I did. They'll open source their data. It won't be their hyperspectral imaging. Yeah, I think that they'll get there. But hyperspectral and near real time, I think the best we can get is 90 minutes. I don't know otherwise. GNSS or GPS, but too far away, 33,000 kilometers, I think. I think you need to be an LEO or MPO. I love MPO, even though it's a spy satellite orbit. I mean, if you're in making spy satellites, cool. It's a great orbit for that, right? You get to 89.5 degrees or 89 degrees, and you just spin around Earth orbits. You get real time pretty quickly. That's the other thing, that satellite can report in on passes, you know, for like up to 20 minutes. That's a lot. That's a big download speed. If you have a big download, it can. What is this grant? Oh yeah, good one, RG. Good advice. Grants, man, I'm telling you, even though the NSF are getting a little funky over here right now, do find your grant money if you can. Mm, private grants, a little more competitive. It's not out of the norm to get private grants, though. Um, Particularly if you have, you know, if you're going to build a company, do build a nonprofit side of it. And because on the nonprofit side, you can host IP, intellectual property, and probably be the last piece of really solid advice that I can give you for a startup side. Protect your IP. Do that with your attorneys, right? Write your patents. Get your patents filed, and then just park all your patents in your intellectual property in a nonprofit. And then if you've developed some product, right, that has a profit potential and someone is willing to take that on, you can license it to them. And you can license them through your nonprofit. Now you're taking in nonprofit dollars. And now when you take in nonprofit dollars, you'll find you'll get more money, right? You'll just have more investors. And there are plenty of nonprofit investors out there, plenty, grants too. But you have to have that MVP. And that's not me that figured that out, that's y'all. What about quantum communication for satellites? Yeah, I think we're too early. Again, those quantum computers are hogs for energy. They absolutely are just savages. We're talking about megawatts for one quantum computer, and we're like, we got to figure that out. I think they're close. It was mostly cooling. I think they're actually quite close. In fact, I could be wrong. I think the stack of 4 quantum chips that you can get through Google's platform now, I think they're near room temperature. That's fantastic if we get that. Oh my God. Yeah, talk about compute power. What do you think about business models? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, again, that's if you're solving a crisis and you can make some money out of it. Warren Buffett, great example. Think about all of the companies he's invested in, and almost all of them, they choose them because they've done something, to try to make the climate a part of their, MVP. That's the other thing, right? If you're going to design something, make it climate conscious as well, right? We're not spewing out heterotisine or what hydrazine. We're not spewing out hydrogen into the atmosphere when our satellites crash. How to apply for intellectual property rights? Yeah, well, it's just like a patent, right? Yeah, you can do that. You can hire an attorney. I'm sure they have them in India and or Sri Lanka, particularly, because a friend there is an attorney. um, yeah, yeah, get your stuff licensed. Super important. Yeah, get it noticed, right? Get it drawn up. Engineer drawings too. None of the. If you got to do a hand drawing, make sure it's an engineered hand drawing. Grants, attending conferences. Oh yeah, man, that's really tough. They're making it tougher. Yes, me. They're making it more difficult for scientists, engineers to move around. That's kind of creepy. So I hope they fix that. Yeah. IAC has a scholarship arm, so you get with them. Join International Astronautical Federation. I would join AIAA. I think we have a branch in India, so don't disregard that. Very important. Yeah, you'll collaborate with some really amazing minds. Just amazing. Yeah. Well, we're probably. I'm sure I'm putting some people to sleep. Get up, wake up. It's getting late there, isn't it?
I think we are already up on time, I think. Okay.
Okay.
So thank you, Terry, like taking out
Yeah.
time in the early morning. Over here it is night, but over there it is early morning. Okay. So thank you for your time. If there is any question, like I will be forwarding it to you so that we can answer that later on. Okay.
I'll
And
save
also like
that
I want
file,
to
send that to you.
also guys join this WhatsApp group so that you guys can be connected. You may find a co-founder, a teammate, or anyone with whom you can build your company. Okay. Thank you, Jerry, once again for your time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night. Sleep tight.